Well, from Australian politics to US politics, Nikki Haley has promised to continue her Republican presidential campaign, putting to bed rumours she would step down before the South Carolina primary. Let's bring in live now Professor of Politics and International Affairs at Furman University, Brent Nelsen. Brent, really appreciate you making the time for us. Thanks so much. Just take us through what the polls are suggesting will happen when Haley and Trump do face off in South Carolina this weekend.
Well, the polls aren't looking very good for Nikki Haley at the moment. Donald Trump seems to have a 30, maybe even 35-point lead here in South Carolina, which is clearly decisive. Nikki Haley is running as hard as she can, and she is everywhere in the state, and she is on television, but she doesn't seem to be ginning up much support among the base of of Trump's support here in South Carolina.
And it would be a pretty bad look, wouldn't it, if Haley doesn't do well in what is her home state?
Yeah, this is her home state, and she was elected governor twice here. But the people of South Carolina are really, really strong Trump supporters. And to them, Haley looks like, well, we're fine with her, but she's second string. And if we can have the first string guy at the top, then we're going to vote for Trump. So that looks like it's going to happen on Saturday when we go to the polls in South Carolina.
And what would that mean for the rest of Haley's campaign?
Well, Nikki Haley has said today that she was going to continue on. And that is a bit surprising, but it seems that her supporters, especially the big donors behind her, seem to think that there's something important about keeping her campaign going. First of all, I think Nikki Haley does represent a wing of the Republican Party that is a bit underrepresented right now, and there is a bit of a struggle for the heart of the Republican Party that Nikki Haley is continuing. The second thing is, I believe she feels that at some point Donald Trump could get in real deep legal trouble, and he might be unable to continue his campaign in one way or another. And then she would be the person ready to take over from Donald Trump. And the final thing is, I think, Nikki Haley is ambitious and she's got the money to keep running. And I think she may be trying to set herself up for 2028. But we'll have to see whether she really has the kind of support necessary to keep that kind of interest going.
Brent, you mentioned Mr. Trump's legal woes. Just how disruptive do you expect they will be for the former president in the lead up to the election?
Well, he could be spending an awful lot of time in court. He has been able to turn court appearances into campaign rallies in some sense. But that may become more and more difficult as the court cases become more complex and more serious, in fact. So he faces a schedule where he'll start appearing in court for, really important cases in March. And that could go all the way into the fall, where he could be spending a lot of time in court and not doing much on the campaign trail. So that's a real problem. And in fact, if he is actually convicted in any of these cases, he could be seriously constrained. And that may get some of the Republican leaders thinking that just maybe they need to move on from a convicted politician. So that's why Nikki Haley is hanging around. In fact, she thinks she might be able to pick up where Trump leaves off. That would, in some sense, she is not a Donald Trump type of politician. She doesn't have that populist base. And so she would be taking the party in a slightly different direction. So it's not clear that she would be able to pick right up where Donald Trump left off, should Trump have a health crisis or a legal crisis of some sort.
Brent Nelsen, really appreciate your insights. Thank you so much for joining us, especially so late there in the US. Thanks for your time.